Hi everybody, Candace here with Created Studio in Acme, Washington. Today I'm going to take you through the steps on how you create the braided twist. This is a marvelous technique where you have no quilting, no binding, and no handwork that's necessary. It's a design that was created by Cheryl Phillips, and it has a very nice book that takes you through step by step. And it produces a wonderful product when you're done. This is one of them that was done with a Halloween theme. And you'll see on the back side, it's all finished. And that's because the way you construct it is like magic. You just twist it, like the name says, braided twist, and it creates a finished table runner. You can make something smaller, like a placemat, which I've done on these two. The back is all finished, and I like to top stitch it. You can use some fusible underneath each of the seams to fuse it down. We're going to be using a St. Patrick's Day fabric since that's a holiday that's coming up here soon. I'm going to be using the braided twist template. I like a ruler so that way I can cut my fabric down and trim things as I'm going. I use a rotary cutter. It's going to require some end pieces. We're going to have 2 pieces of fabric for my ends. I have 2 pieces for the S-curve portion. I have my black detail fabric, and then I have 4 pieces of black that are going to be my backing, and then I have my fusible fleece. Alright, well I'm going to go ahead and start my process and take you through step by step. Alright, now that we're done sewing those pieces, we're able to cut out our template. So we're going to grab our tool. We're going to flip these back over. And it's really important that you give them a nice pressing so that way everything's nice and straight as you're moving forward. This is a good time to also make sure you're matching up the directions with the way that you're going to be cutting it. And the book is a great resource. You'll be seeing those directions on page 6. And so the directions are asking you to turn it over so that way you're cutting it with the wrong side up. You're going to be using your tool and aligning your pieces to match. It says place on the curved stitches, so you're going to be lining that up on the curved stitches and making your cut. This one. Right. So we're going to go ahead and make that cut and then repeat it with the second one. Looks like I need to change my blade. So that's our first piece, and then we're going to repeat with this piece right here. Now we're going to continue to work on the braided twist. We're going to be sewing these 2 pieces together from this seam point all the way down. We're going to repeat with the other piece that we have. Alright, we've completed that. We want to give it a little nip right here where those seams are, where our sew line is. That's going to make a lot more sense when we go to twist. You don't want to go beyond that, but you do want a little slit right there. All right, now we're going to grab our backing fabric. This is fabric K. We're going to align it. Black is always hard for me to see the edges, but that looks pretty good. All right. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and put our needle down, and we're going to go ahead and sew this all the way down. Alright, that one is done. Now we're going to take the next piece of the K and we're going to attach it to the other K, lining up our raw edges. We're going to find the middle. Down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open it up. We're going to press our seams open, straight down, and then on to the next step. Alright, so now it's time to attach the two pieces together. So what we want to do is we want to lay this one face up. We want to grab the K, which is our backing. We want to line up our raw edges. Kind of get it nice and flat and straight, and that looks pretty good. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around the outer edge, and then we're going to repeat with this piece right here. So then we're going to be doing it with two. All right, now it's time to sew all the way around. Now we're done with this one, and now we're going to move on to the second. So with the same approach in mind, we're going to go ahead and sew these two down together. Remember, your right sides are together. So I'm going to line this side up. Down, and I'm going to get this nice and straight. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Perfect. All right. And then I just want to make sure my seams are matching up at the bottom. Letting the fabric kind of guide itself through, making sure my raw edges are all lining up. All right, so now I'm done with that part of it. Now we're going to be adding the fusible fleece. And I do have a pressing station over to the side that I will be using. What you want to make sure is that your fusible is not extending beyond that seam line, and it should be lining right up with it, which mine is. I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to put my fusible there, and then I'm going to give it a good press. I like to take the raw edges that I ironed open and tuck in that fusible right below it. So that's what it's going to look like when I'm done, after I get done pressing, and I will repeat that with the second piece. Alright, now that you get done pressing everything down, you want to go ahead and turn it inside out. I just start at the middle, carefully work my hands in there, start flipping it inside out. Try not to disrupt that fusible because we want that to stay in place as much as possible. I use my fingers to start pushing out the curves. So then we're left with this really nice circle, kind of like a Pac-Man. It's open right there, which is the function of the braided twist. You want to make sure that is open. We're going to now repeat that with the second one. Now if you're doing the braided twist to make a table runner, you're going to make quite a few of these, but for just the little placemat, I'm just making a couple of these, 2 of them. Alright, so now I got this all turned out. I'm going to give it a nice press, and then we're going to talk about how we assemble it to get it together and twist it. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and add our 2 pieces together. I'm going to, since I'm using my fabric B and fabric K are identical, they're going to match up directly. I want to get that piece out of my way so that way I can see the work that I'm doing below. So all I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm lining up my raw edges. And then what you want to do is 1/8 of an inch straight stitch to hold these pieces down, which will make it a little bit easier when you're navigating attaching the 2 pieces together. Let me get all my pieces out. I'll put this under there. Alright, I have to re-thread my needle. Alright, so just a little stitch to close those 2 pieces off, which really help a lot when you're going to go put these together. I want to get that little piece on the bottom out. I'm going to repeat on the other piece right here. One thing that would help if you're worried about your threads showing through on your finished is using a color matching thread. Since I'm demonstrating, I figured the black thread you would not be able to see, so I'm using a white thread. Alright, so let's get that in there. Alright, so all of my pieces are put together. I'm going to go ahead and attach the 2 now. So it's going to look like this. We're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance straight down to the end. Alright, so now that's attached on one side. Now we got to do the same on the other side. So if I put all my pieces back down, I want to make sure this piece is over this piece. And then now I want to do a 1/4 inch straight down. And for that, I'm going to move my little guard out of the way because it's very tight spaces in here. And I want to find the sweet spot to line them up. There it is. 1/4 inch straight down. Both pieces. Okay. Now I got both done. I trim up my thread. Perfect. Now the directions say twist, just like that. Since I only did one, it's perfectly finished. Now you would continue to twist if you had more runs, but you can see how perfect that is. Everything's perfectly finished. We have no exposed seams. And if we flip back to the front side, had I been using my black thread, you wouldn't have seen that little run right there, but I can cover that with something else. So definitely using a color matching thread is going to be key, so you're not seeing all the contrast colors when you're using like a white thread on black. So now I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice little press, and then these flaps right here you want to go ahead and stitch down, or you can use a fusible under there to get it to lay nice and flat. But that is how you make the braided twist. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It was a ton of fun to make. It's super quick. Once you get through your first couple braided twists, you can usually make one of these placemats in about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, as long as you're prepared and you have patience as you move through it. All right, thanks everybody for watching, and have a wonderful day. Thank you from Creative Studio in Acme, Washington.